Welcome to Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2018. This is what your screen should look like if you have the same version of Premiere Pro as the one that I'm currently using for this tutorial. If not, the name of the buttons or links should be the same. It will just be the location that might be different. So you may want to keep this YouTube tutorial open in the background while you are working your way through your book trailer and hit play, listen to me give a direction on how to do something, and then pause the video and come back and do that one step. After you do that step, go back to the YouTube video, hit play, watch the next step, pause, and so forth. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is click on New Project. Go ahead and give your project a title like York's Book Trailer Throne of Glass, and make sure that the location Premiere Pro is going to save your project to is not the C drive, and that you remember where on your H drive the program will save your work. So once you have a title and the date, you've checked your location, you can go ahead and click OK. Do not get overwhelmed when you see all of this, all of these buttons and links. It's a little crazy, but we'll walk through it together. Just keep watching the video, clicking pause, and let's just take it step by step. So now that we've created our new project, we want to go up to Edit, and then scroll down to Preferences, and then scroll down to Timeline. Click on Timeline, and this box will appear. Basically, the only thing that you need to worry about are these settings right here. You want to make sure that all three of these, the video transition default, audio transition default, and still image default, are on seconds and not frames. And then the first one that you want to change possibly is the still image default duration. This means how long do you want the slide of your picture to stay up on the screen before it switches to the next one. Well, as you know, I have many pictures, so I need to keep this time down. So I have mine set at 2 seconds. But if you only have 11 or 12 pictures, you might be able to bump this up to 3 seconds or 4 seconds. I am going to keep mine at 2. The audio transition, I'm going to leave it 1 second. And I moved my video transition down to half a second instead of 1 second because, again, I'm trying to save video time since I have so many pictures. So if you want this at 1 second, you can just change it to 1.00, where I have mine at 0.50. Once you have chosen your settings, go ahead and click OK. If you've saved your photos or pictures on Google Drive, you are going to need to download those folder or the folder for your photos to your computer so that you can load them into Adobe Premiere Pro. You can't do this from Google Drive. So you will right-click on your folder for photos and scroll down to Download. Click that, and it will start the process of the zipped file. Once that process is completed, you'll see the folder here, and you can click it and open, and you can determine where you want that file to be saved. So when you click on this file, you'll click Extract, Extract All, because basically you want to remove those pictures from that folder. So I want to make sure that I'm in my H drive. I'm going to go into my book trailer, Throne of Glass. Now I already have a folder called Pics. However, those might be older pictures that I haven't numbered. This is the most current set of photographs that I have. They're numbered the way that I want them. They have the background slides. So I'm going to name this folder Pics, but I'm going to put the date so that I know this is the most current set of pictures that I have. Okay, it wants me to choose a folder that already exists, I guess. So I'll go back into Book Trailer Throne of Glass, and I'm just going to I'll change the file name, that's what I'll do. So I'll put the date on this, November 20. And it still wants me to pick a folder, so I guess I'm clicking into Pics. Pics, November. Will it let me at least do that? Nope. I have to leave it the way it is. Let's try this again. See, I'm learning right along with you. There we go. So I better write this down or I will forget. This is where my pics will be when I go to upload them to Adobe Premiere Pro. So I've got the H drive, Book Trailer Throne of Glass, Yorks, and then Pics. Okay. So I'll click Extract, and you can see them being downloaded. Okay, now that they have finished being extracted from the folder, you can get them into Adobe Premiere one of two ways. You can click on the photo, shift, and scroll down to the last folder, right click and go that direction, or what I'm going to do is go ahead and close all of this out and go back to my, remember, pause the YouTube video whenever you need to. Okay, we can resize all of these windows, I should say. Basically, you can kind of break it down into 4, but this is where we are going to upload our pictures. So I am just going to right click in this area, scroll down and click Import. And now I have to go back and find my pictures. So I will go to the folder, Pics. Now I notice these must be my old photos because they are not all numbered. So this must be the folder. Yes, this is the folder that has my current photos numbered. So I'm going to click on the first one, hold down the Shift key, and click on the last one. I added a couple more pictures here, or a few more. So there are some that are not numbered. And once I have them all highlighted, I just click Open. And there you see all of my files have been imported into the program. If I click down here on the bottom, it will change the way the pictures are viewed. So you can go from the current view to a list view so you can actually see the pictures. Now here you can also see the time that this picture, each of these, are going to show in my book trailer. I chose 2 seconds, but the way the settings are in Adobe Pro, they're going to last about 1 second and 29 or 1.29 seconds. I'm not sure exactly how to phrase that. So if you want yours a little bit longer, you might want to choose 3 seconds instead of 2 seconds. These are my pictures. Now I'm going to put them back in this so that I can see my numbers. And now we need to create the timeline and the sequence. Okay, before we can put our pictures into the timeline, we need to actually create one. So we'll go up to the very top and click on File, New, and then go over to where it says Sequence and click on that. And then we are going to go to Digital SLR, click on the little arrow, and then we want to click on the folder that says 1080p, click on the little arrow, and then we are going to choose DSLR 1080p 30. Once you've chosen that, we'll leave everything else the same. You can go ahead and title this sequence whatever. I'm just going to put DSLR 1080p 30 and click OK. Now you'll notice that it looks a little bit different. This is our timeline. The 3 at the top are for video or pictures, text, and so forth. The ones on the bottom that say A1, A2, and A3, this is where you will put your audio files when we get to that point. But right now, again, we're going to click on this bottom folder, not this sequence. Just start with your bottom photo. Hold down the Shift key and click on your first one. And then we're going to drag that to our video 1 line. And those are all of my pictures right there in that line. Now, if you want, you can make this section on your screen larger by just dragging it that way. You can also make it taller. So again, we hover over these lines and drag it up a little bit. This gets a little bit smaller, but that's okay. And then you can also increase the size of the video line that we're in, since that's probably the only one we'll actually use unless you have a 10-second clip of video. Now this bar down at the bottom, and I'm going to close this screen for a second or pause this so I can kind of zoom in. Hopefully that makes it a little bit easier to see. So we are in the V1 or Video 1 timeline, but above it there's Video 2, down below it A1, Audio 1. This button right down here will spread your slides out so that you can see them, or it can make them very small. But the nice thing about this is we can also see the timing. So we can see that in about 2 seconds, this one ends, and then another 2 seconds, and so forth. So you can see the timeline. Anytime you want to do something to all of your slides, you're going to bring them down like this so that you can highlight and work on them. When you go to add transitions, you're probably going to want to have a little bit of space to do the transitions. So let me show you a few things. If we run this through, take a look at the pictures. Notice how small that one is. So most of us have some pictures that are very large, some that are small. It just look, oh boy, that one was very large. You couldn't even see what the picture was. All right, so since all of us probably have pictures like that, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here and make these slides very small. Put that back at the beginning. This is how you can reset it back to the beginning of the slideshow. And I'm going to click back here and hold it down and highlight all of the slides. And then I'm going to right click on those and go to Set to Frame Size. Go ahead and click on Set to Frame Size. Now I want to show you what the pictures look like. They have all been resized. Now, not all of them still cover the entire canvas, but they don't need to. The only photos that need to cover the entire canvas would be the ones that you chose as your background for your text slides. So if you happened to choose a background that's too small to stretch out to cover the entire canvas, then you might want to go back and choose a different background, which I may have to do for one of mine. That cloud one right there, I might have to change. So you can move this back and forth with this blue bar. All right, so this cloud sequence, let's see what we can do with that. Actually, before we do that, because I may want to put that in a different video, I want to show you how to do slide transitions so you can have a little fun with this before I get into the crazier stuff. So if you spread your slides out just a little bit, there we go. You can do a few different things with transitions between your slides. Again, feel free to move your screens around based on what you need. Make things as tall, short, skinny. The reason these appeared over here is I came up and I clicked at the top button that said Effects, and this popped up over to the side. So go ahead and click on Effects, and then you'll see these, and you want to look down to where it says Video Transitions. Click the arrow off to the side of that folder, and these are all transitions that you might want to try. And what I did was I just clicked on one, and then you drag it right between the two pictures. And then I clicked on the next one, and I would drag it right between the two pictures. And then just kind of slide over. And you can also slide this blue bar over if you need to get to a new set of pictures so that you can put in the transitions. Okay, so I'm going to close that folder because I used both of those. and go into the dissolve. Click on the additive dissolve, and I'm going to drag that. Now you don't have to use all of these transitions. The reason I like to try all of them is because I want to see which ones I like the best. I may end up only using 3 or 4 different transitions in my entire presentation. So it just depends on your preference to what you like. So I'll move that over a little bit more, choose the next one and drag it and drop right in between the 2 pictures. And then let's see what we've got so far. You can either drag that back or click here, bring it back to the beginning, hit play. And you can see the different transitions versus no transition at all. So I think I've given you enough to experiment with before we start getting into typing information on the text slides and so forth. So go ahead and add your transitions. See which ones you like, which ones you don't like. Have it run through the entire video so that you can get an idea of how long your book trailer is going to be. For example, I'm sure I'm going to have to cut out some of my pictures because I have a feeling I am going to be too close to 2 minutes. Let's see. Oh, there's one other thing that I wanted to show you before I stop. Let's say you want to move a picture around. By the way, these 2 pictures, one was, I think, a JPEG, one was an PNG. So I wanted to see which picture I liked best before I deleted it. And to delete a photo, all you have to do is right-click and go up to cut. Now it will leave a hole there, but we can fix that later. But let's say you decide that you want this picture behind this one. Just move it up into the other video line, drag that one over, and move that one back down. And you've just swapped spots for the pictures. It's that easy. So like I said, go ahead and add some transitions, let it play through, play around with things. If you click on something and you realize you made a mistake, you can always come up here to edit and hit undo, and it will undo the last thing that you did. The program also auto saves, but it would probably benefit you to also save it yourself every now and then. So File, Save As, and then again, just make sure you see where it is being saved to. Go ahead and hit Save. And each day, if it were me, I would probably save it and change the date. The same name, but November 26th, and then the next day as I work on it, November 27th. And that way, if there ever is a computer crash, something happens, I only lose that day's work. I have a previous version saved from the day before. Enjoy, have a great time, and I'll come back with more information on what we can do next.